Welcome back to Big Wrench Tech, and today we have a 360 Magnum, but I'm going to address the problem in the room. These are the notorious Magnum heads that are prone for cracking, but I know something that'll actually slow it down and a theory behind it. Admire the expert drawing skills. This area over here is the area that's notorious for the Magnums for cracking. And they say that they're cracking because of how the edge is so sharp. So what a engine builder that I have trusted for many, many years has told me to literally just gnaw that edge down. And I didn't believe him until he showed me some tested, really, really hard tested Magnum heads. And I believe him for this reason. If you think about it, the heat sink on this one is very tapered all the way to the end, which if you think about it, just like a piece of metal, thin piece of metal, you can work it back and forth, eventually it'll break. Well, the same theory applies with this, especially on your exhaust side. So you have a lot of heat, and then you shut the engine off, and then over time, they will crack. So if you think about it, straight edge, the heat sink's gonna go all the way to the edge, and that's where it's gonna end up causing fatigue, just like in the Magnum heads. So heat sink, all the way to the edge, they'll crack. A flatter taper will not have that tapered in to where it will crack. So it may work, it may not. I'm taking this gentleman's word for it because he has a heck of a lot more engine build time than I do. This is where patience and precision comes into play. You want to take your angle grinder with a marine pad, as you see, and gently, I mean very gently, just go through there and knock off that edge. You do not want to get close to that seat, because if you do, bad things might happen. And how I lap in valves is typically like everybody else that laps in valves now. Usually, the old traditional way is typically using a suction cup. But I like using a drill, and it seems to work just fine actually. And just something on a low speed setting. Do that number a couple times, and you're good to go. Now, if you see that nice line right there, we have a perfect seat to this valve. And as you see, this valve also has that perfect line too. So this one is good to go. Now rinse and repeat for the rest of them. Now some people do and some people don't, but I like adding a little bit of assembly lube on the stems before I install them in. Sometimes it's not necessary, but I like doing that for reassurance. And it wouldn't be about valve and heads if we didn't talk about Magnum lifters. This is very important. So I had to phone a friend, call in a favor, call it what you will. I just got off the phone with Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage, and we had to kind of put our heads together, figure out the orientation of these lifters. Because come to find out, even if you have a Magnum block and they are roller, you should not just throw lifters in. And here's why. So as we all notice, that oil port, that is a very, very, very important part of this whole operation. I accidentally installed the thing backwards. That oil port is not supposed to go to the oil galley, which is facing down towards the crank. Instead, it's actually supposed to be facing the opposite way towards the intake to help hold the oil in place when it's not being used. So just bear in mind which orientation you actually install these lifters. If anybody's wondering what cam grind number actually goes in these Mopar Performance 360s that you were able to order at one point, as you see, it's P45-32-864, which I decoded that, but I cannot remember what the lift and duration and all that good stuff is, but I'll probably put it in the comments somewhere. And just like that, it's somewhat better. Now one down, and one more to go. But as I do that one, I will leave you guys with this. I probably will recommend actually grinding down that just because I've seen the results, and I kind of believe in it. I mean, it worked for many of the applications that he has done, so the proof is kind of in the pudding. So the theory can't be too incredibly heinous, right? Anyways, everyone, like always, thank you again so much for watching. Don't be afraid to throw a wrench at it, and we'll see you on the next one. And one more shot for good measure. Man, those valve covers are disgusting.